Hey, cinema aficionados, Dan Patton, Screen Magazine. Today, we're going to talk about a new series called Bettendorf Talks. Bettendorf Talks is a workplace comedy that takes place on and off the set of a fictitious talk show called Bettendorf Talks. It all happens in a place called Bettendorf, Iowa. The ensemble cast includes Chicago actors TJ Jagodowski and David Pasquesi. They play a has-been comedy duo trying to regain some of their former glory through this vehicle, the Bettendorf Talks talk show.
Riley, give it a rest! Fuck!
Did we ever figure out what that humming was last night?
Oh yeah, it was Mr. Kazrinsky, humming.
Did not know I was doing that.
Easy fix then.
Super easy fix. I won't do it.
Bettendorf Talks is directed by Chicagoan Jack C. Newell and produced by Chicagoan Shane Simmons. The pilot will make its debut, its premiere next month at the South by Southwest Film Festival. And now, we welcome Jack, TJ, Dave, and Shane to tell us more about the show. Jack, the description of this show, and when I look at the teaser, I kind of think 30 Rock meets Wayne's World meets The Office. Are fans of those shows going to be pleased with what they see, and in what ways are you going to take them into new territory?
Wow. I guess none of our Independence Day references made it into the pilot. I guess it didn't come across. It's a show behind a show. It's the making of a show, which is a classic technique. We get a chance to see the actual talk show that these guys are trying to do, and then we get to see all of the magic behind the scenes, or maybe the opposite of magic. I guess the magic is what's in front of camera, the mayhem behind the camera.
David, you and TJ have been performing improv on stage for like 20 years now.
Nonstop.
Nonstop. So
Thanks,
normally I would
thanks
ask
for this break.
Normally I would ask, what portion of the show is improvised, but in your case, I think I have to ask which parts of the show are actually scripted.
Actually, TJ and I wrote this. And so there are some improvised elements, like an interview of a talk show would be in going forward. Those would be actually improvised and actually performed as they would be. Shooting stuff that's improvised takes a long time. You don't know what you're doing. They have to find it. And so there's a writing process involved while you're improvising for camera. In addition to all the other elements of the show, there's also this weird version of ourselves. And we're trying to regain some of that through this television show, which is a ridiculous idea because we're in Bettendorf. No fame is going to come find us in Bettendorf. But so it's doomed from the beginning, but we don't know that.
I'm assuming that you're using some elements that, work on stage, certain concepts and whatnot, in front of a live audience. How rewarding, how challenging was it to take those, success stories from the stage and put them into this new kind of closed environment?
We tried that for a while to try to make our show fit into television. And that doesn't really work. So this is a new thing. This is an actual television show that hopefully some of the elements that we've been able to establish over these 20 years will fit into into their format rather than make their format adapt to us.
Thanks so much to Dr. Kearns for keeping us up to date on all the goings-on at the QC Dental Clinic.
Yeah, and all of his wonderful exotic animals. Why was a dentist bringing out a dangerous rodent to begin with?
Because it was the dentist with exotic pets.
Oh, right. Sorry, I'm late. Peter called. They want to talk to whoever is in charge.
What are the greater themes that the show is exploring besides just being a funny show within a show?
The nature of fame and what is its value in itself. So that this duo that had a little bit of notoriety is trying to get that notoriety back, but to what end, and how people become famous now. We were recently on a trip. We were playing in Charlotte, and we saw this great old quotes outside the library from a writer there, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said it's gotten to the point where people confuse fame for achievement, and that idea kind of plays in where you can become TikTok famous maybe without actually having a skill. These guys are trying to get back to being famous, but is it only because fame has become such an interesting commodity? And we're surrounded, we got to shoot in Moline, Illinois, which is a very salt of the earth, blue collar town. And so even that concept sticks out starkly in this very factory labor-based town, and then these guys are trying to become famous. It's not the most fertile launching pad, and you stand in stark resistance to people who actually work for a living.
And I've heard that you've got a way to make sure that you're capturing the authenticity of that region, and that would be producer Shane Simmons, who I believe is from one of the Quad Cities. Shane, what was the greatest for you to be involved in this project, and what did you tell people not familiar with the area, what it's all about?
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true, obviously, to bring a project. I've been in Chicago about 15 years, and to bring a project back to the Quad Cities was amazing. Jack's like, where can we go to get the opening title sequence? I'm like, boom, 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 boom. He already actually had it covered really well. But as TJ and Dave pointed out, like it is really a different creative feel to actually shoot it in that area. We filmed in a real live TV station, meaning they were filming 24 hours a day. They would literally just zoom right in there, do their live broadcast that goes out to hundreds of thousands of people, and then pop back out and we'd go in.
Excellent. And then Jack, as a director, how cool was it to have this setup ready to go when you went in there? And I'm wondering, were you rolling more than one camera?
I mean, as we all have been saying, it was a joy to film it in an actual working TV station. It informed a lot of what we ended up shooting and how we would shoot things. I think it informed even the actors when we were maybe not, if not improvising, but playing around with lines, like the nomenclature, just like understanding and knowing that, like, hey, would someone say this? And they'd be like, no, we wouldn't say that. We'd call this this. So that was a neat sort of give and take. Essentially, there's two worlds that exist in the show Bettendorf Talks. In our show Bettendorf Talks, one is the behind the scenes, the stuff around, watching the writers write and all of the things that happen when they're not shooting the show. And the other world is the actual talk show within the show called Bettendorf Talks also. This is like the inception of TV shows. For the behind the scenes stuff, we shot that single cam, normal, so how you'd shoot like a normal movie. And then for Bettendorf Talks, the TV show, we shot it with 3 cameras. We actually shot it with different cameras, ones that would more match what you would shoot TV with. And then we just ran it basically like a talk show. We just said, okay, here we go. And we took commercial breaks, and then we came back to try to give it that sense of it just being sort of free flowing and happening in front of your eyes.
It's about a country singer who uses the words like baby and little girl a lot. And it turns out he's actually singing to babies and little girls.
Very funny.
Very illegal.
Funny, though.
And actually not illegal in many states, Margaret.
What was the most number of people you had on set at any given moment?
30. I mean, Shane would know this better than I. The station was a bit surprised at how many people it takes to make a show like this.
I also travel with my hairdresser, my food taster, and my harem. That's 3 right there.
Yeah, and I heard you had a great time in the hotel where you guys were all staying. You said it was a blast.
It was like summer camp, man. Like every door was, someone who was on it or in it or whatever. And I think there was maybe some construction around there. So there was this sort of abandoned little cul-de-sac of a room. And we, had our meals there at the end of a long day and stuff. It was really, really cool. It was David's idea for us all to go up there. And we were also lucky enough just to find like the sweetest bunch of people to be in it. And then a lot of the folks in the crew had worked with Jack before. And I think Jack draws kind-hearted souls as well. So it was really, really kind people at every level of it as well.
Except me.
Well, sometimes, David, you do play characters who are kind of unpleasant people. And I'm
not
going to ask you this, but is it a stretch? Do you really take some time to get into a character who's an unpleasant person, or does it come naturally?
I'm not really sure what you mean.
Okay.
Anyone I've ever played is a very sensible, kind person, and this is no different. The Dave of Bettendorf Talks is equally kind to most of the characters that you're referencing.
Yeah, how happy are TJ and Dave to be involved with Bettendorf Talks?
I think as far as the Dave character is concerned, this is a necessary evil that in order to get to the next thing.
Do you even want to be doing this?
No, absolutely not.
Because I am trying to make an actual TV show. And we could make an actual TV show if you weren't so pissed off that this wasn't an actual TV show.
Who else are we going to look forward to seeing here? One of whom, of course, is the great SNL alum, Tim Kazurinsky. And you want to tell us about some of the other characters who are involved?
Sadia Rafai plays Margaret, our producer, and Cassie Kramer is the director. Genevieve Namdi Ingwe plays one of the young writers, along with Emma Pope. And then, as you mentioned, Tim. And then the kind of guest star for this episode was Brian King, who plays Saul Charlotte, the local gas station or repair auto body guy, and
Really
a rock star, right, David? A real
real rock star. Ike Riley, the Ike Riley assassination is the house band. And they came down, they hopped in a van and just cruised out to Moline to help us out. It was really fun.
His character has his own peculiarities, it seems.
Yeah, he has his own peculiarities indeed.
What was the standard you're looking for the people that you cast?
Well, as TJ said, I think first and foremost, they got to be cool, because there's a lot of good people and talented people, but if they're not cool, it kind of wrecks it for everyone.
So are you saying that all the people that you cast in the show would be cool?
They're nice people. No, not all of them are cool. Some are fucking nerds.
Yeah, I was gonna say, people might they're gonna watch this and be like, "Oh, Dave thinks I'm cool." That's
Let's talk about the people who are not here right now. Who did you dislike?
Quad City's only 24-hour towing.
24 hours, that's quite a time commitment.
Sure is, though actually I wouldn't recommend calling between the hours of 4 and 8.
So we're gonna have a tow truck driver read his own ad? Oh, no, he wants to be a guest on the show. Oh, no. Let him buy a badly produced commercial like everybody else. No offense.
Here's the commercial.
Did we get clearance from DC?
We only had to change one letter.
Car trouble, and so late at night. What am I going to do?
Car trouble, little lady?
Yes, Superman.
I think we didn't have a traditional casting director to answer it from that perspective. It was basically TJ, Dave, and I, for the most part, I think, running through and building out from there, and then doing minor rewrites on scripts for voice.
Those are all our first picks.
Yeah.
We wrote the script with the names Namdi and Emma in place, hoping that they would say yes. So their names
they didn't know anything about it
in there for the whole time before we even asked them.
And
then
Tim.
And Tim. Then we just kind of combed through people we knew or had worked with to fill out the other slots. We kind of had past histories with these folks and knew that they could handle comedy, knew that they had done sketch and improv, and we wouldn't be asking anything of them that they didn't already have a leg up in.
The other thing I would just want to add on to that, which is sort of getting back to something you had asked earlier, although this is mostly scripted, part of it can be approached from maybe behind the camera stuff, like what Shane and I were doing behind the scenes. And part of it is like creating a set that has a sort of vibe or a good vibe so that people can take chances and have fun. Sort of disciplined in how indisciplined we are, to use your words, I guess, because it was just like jokes. Everyone's making jokes constantly all the time, having fun when we're not rolling. And then you sort of like, you have to then roll into action in a very calm way. So it doesn't feel like, okay, now we're working. It's like, we're always having fun and we're always working. The thing is that on stage, you have an audience of people to laugh. On camera, if people start laughing, that does screw things up. We'd be okay burning takes if one of us started laughing. And sometimes film people don't want to do it that way. They're like, no, it has to be totally quiet. You have to just be,
I think that's a good point. Jack was saying that we're having a great time and jokes, and then we start working, and none of that was funny.
Right. That's exactly right. All the good stuff was when we were not filming. Thank you, David, and then as soon as we started filming, just terrible.
Very serious.
Long day's journey into night, very serious, like just the darkest. And that's what we have, but you put a funny filter on it and you shoot with a wide angle lens and it's, oh boy, it's comedy.
Those funny filters, they are awesome.
Right.
I think it's cool. So
they're expensive.
Really expensive. Okay. Surprisingly expensive.
Well, you just get the subscription. It's like $20 a month to premiere, and you take it from there.
I mean, this is a talk show, right? Not a sell show. Let's just have an interesting conversation with an interesting person, the lively art.
What is your favorite national monument? That comes from our producer.
I don't recognize nations. Borders keep people apart.
Then have a conversation with him.
No, get me a good guest. Cool?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Oh, no! Damn you!
You look good in a toga.
Oh, thanks, man. I got my grandma's gams.
How does she get around?
Oh, you know she passed away, right?
So you're writing a script and you're imagining who you want to say these lines when you're doing dialogue, and then you actually got those people. That's really cool.
We should start naming characters Gene Smart and Allison Janney and things like that.
And this all evolved from TJ and Dave on stage. Is there a large arc for the course of the season that we're going to see?
Yeah.
Yes, we have it. We can't really talk about it. We have it. Yes, the idea is we've got it all sort of planned out. We got seasons 1, 2, and 3 all planned out. We have ideas for where everything's going to go.
Is there going to be any romance?
Oh, yeah.
Not between us.
I know.
But there will be.
Well,
Season 17, we're still a little iffy on some of the, on episode 6 of season 17. Otherwise, we got everything down.
is there going to be a long lost twin brother that somebody did not know about?
Okay. Okay, he read the research. All right.
Yeah, not me, guys. I'm heading to East Moline to play laser tag with a bunch of disabled vets who I dominate, so I'll see you guys on Monday.
Got any plans for tonight?
This is my starter, and then I'll probably just stay home alone. Oh, it sounds lovely.
Tune in next week when TJ and Dave talk with other local luminaries and entertain.
So South by Southwest, that's coming up. Are you guys all going to be going?
Yes, sir.
Actually, all 4 of us will be, yeah.
Excellent.
And a bunch of our goofball cast is going to show up too. So it's going to be this is like exactly 1 year ago that we were shooting this.
What happens during and after the South by Southwest, pilot premiere?
The during part is basically trying to get everybody to see it in a big room all together, so we can all enjoy it, laugh our butts off. But also, hopefully that we can get some folks in that room that happen to run television networks.
Or an independent producer who's just interested in giving us gobs of money.
And if anyone, just from my point of view, who has a subscription to the funny filter, just it would help. It's just
funny.
If we could just use your sign-on information.
I got one where I pay as I go, depending on how hard it has to work.
And you got a big Chicago community here, so say something great about the Chicago film community.
We took our Chicago community and brought it to Bettendorf. Let's be clear.
We consider Chicago the Bettendorf of Eastern Illinois.
And then finally, the lightning round question. Tell me, beginning with Dave, what was the most pleasantly surprising thing about filming in Bettendorf, Iowa?
There were no fights. There were no physical fights. I was delighted by that and surprised.
Reminded me of my hometown. I grew up in a mill town in New England, and it felt like there were real people there and real homes and real stores and real shops. It felt grounded and real to me, and I liked that very much.
Thought I wasn't going to be surprised at all because I'm from there, but filming in Bettendorf in the area, it still surprised me how wonderful people can be to open up their, in this case, a TV station, and all kinds of other folks that helped us out. Just everybody's so generous and wonderful and willing to help us make this thing.
Being able to make this show with these guys, that's very funny, very sweet at times without being overly sweet. Amazing cast, amazing crew. And then the other thing is that because we all went down there and had that time there, how close we all are and how special that time was and how excited we are to make more of it in Bettendorf.
Excellent. All right, well, pay attention to Screen Magazine to learn more about Bettendorf Talks. This is Dan Patton, and I've been talking with David Pasquesi, TJ Jagodowski, Shane Simmons, and Jack Newell, who are the part of the cast and the team behind Bettendorf Talks, which is premiering next month at the South by Southwest Film Festival. Take it easy.
Up next, local flavor on Bettendorf Talks with your hosts David Pasquesi and TJ Jagodowski.